Hello, we are back. Welcome back to Maker Academy Weekend. These are our afternoon workshops. First, we have prizes to give away. Now, I'm going to pause just a little bit and wait for people to come back in because this is a continuation of our morning session. And we went into a new live stream just so that, well, lots of wonderful technical reasons. So I'm just going to pause and wait. When you come in, please say hi. Let me know that you're here, that I'm broadcasting okay, and you can hear me.
Got an echo. Too nice.
So Greg says I have an echo. I don't see any echo.
We hear it.
I believe you, but sorry, everybody. So we have technical difficulties. I don't know what might be causing our echo. Can you guys all hear a weird echo? How about now? Is it better now? Hey, Greg, check and see if the echo is better now. You can hear me loud and clear? No echo on your end? Okay, good. So you still hear me? Because I pressed an extra button. And maybe it was okay and now it's not okay. You don't hear an echo? No echo? Okay. Technology is awesome. It allows us to do so many amazing things, but it also is a challenge, as we all know. But we are up for the challenge, right? Because when we can conquer it and figure it out, we can do amazing things. Okay, cool. I saw one comment about it being blurry. That would be your internet because my broadcast looks excellent right now. We're good? Thank you, Greg. Okay, let's do some giveaways before we do our first workshop of the afternoon, which, by the way, what is our first workshop? I'm going to skip over to my notes. Engraved acrylic nightlights. Ooh, that's exciting. Okay, I cannot wait to show you this. You're going to love that one. Okay, but first, prizes. We have 4 prizes. Let's get them all out in our golden envelopes. Let's do a little giveaway. All right, so our first giveaway is for the Jennifer Maker themed Barely Art glue bottle. So I think in every workshop this morning, we talked about Barely glue. Now, obviously, not all of our workshops require glue, but it turns out that crafting glue is actually really important, and good glue is particularly important. So I discovered this glue, Barely Art glue. This is not my glue. I didn't make this, not my company. I don't make money from them. They're not paying me to tell you I love their glue. I discovered their glue about a year and a half ago, I'd say, and fell in love with it because glue is always a challenge. And they noticed that I like their glue so much, and they offered to make this super cute label that says, here, let me show you. It's got a little Jennifer Maker, we call her Jenny, a little crafter lady on it, and it's got blue and sunflowers on it. And you can actually buy this brand, this themed glue. The glue is the same in the bottle, of course. We would want that, but you can actually get it right now on their site. In fact, I'll give you a link to it if you want to just go buy it, because I saw someone asking about this. It's at jennifermaker.com/barelyart, and you can save 10% with a Jennifer Maker discount code. So that this is an affiliate link, so that you know. But if you go to this link, so if you really want this glue, which is super cute, you have to admit, and it's amazing. It's amazing glue. And then in the end, it's the fact that it's amazing that matters. All right. Anyways, enough chat about the glue. Okay, let's see who won. Let's see who won this glue. So the winner of this gets this awesome gift box. So you get this box, and you get the glue itself, and you get a whole cute little bear filled with refill, and you get the precision tips, which is a big part of the magic that makes this glue so amazing. You guys like Barely Art glue? Yes, you do. I know you do. I know you come along with the ride for me on the Barely Art glue train because it's amazing stuff. Okay. All right. So the winner of our Barely Art glue set is Marlia Ciarlillo. I apologize if I butchered your last name. Marlia, congratulations, Marlia. We're going to send you an email and you'll have 48 hours to respond and say, hey, it's me, I want it. So congratulations. This glue is amazing. Like, you know, it might seem like it's going too far to say it's changed my crafting life, but I would say it's definitely changed my paper crafting life for sure. It's just really good glue. Gotta say, I really like it. Okay, the next prize is a Creative Crafters box. This is a subscription box. I don't have anything to show you for this one. It was donated by Becky Dykes, and it's for 3 months. And it's a $120 value. Thank you, Becky, for contributing this to our makers. And the winner of this prize is Victoria Troutman. Congratulations, Victoria. Look for an email from us. Should be sent, I don't know what email address we're sending it from. Let me know, team, so we can tell them, because we wouldn't want anyone to pretend that they were us, right? So that's a good question. I need to know what email address we're going to send it from, but you have 48 hours. Just respond within 48 hours so we know that you want it. And thank you all for congratulating Victoria. I really appreciate it. Okay. We just heard from the amazing Leah Griffith, and she has a new master class coming up on crepe paper flowers. I believe it starts January 1st. I was looking at it and like, oh, I want to do this. It looks so cool. She makes the most amazing crepe paper flowers. Like, she is the queen of crepe paper flowers. I think I said that in a little chat, but it's very true. She's amazing. So we're giving away a scholarship to her course so that someone can take it. And the winner of this lucky person is Diane Vasquez. I apologize again if I mispronounced your last name. Diane, congratulations. I hope you love making crepe paper flowers, because this is going to be so cool. So we will send you an email. And our last prize. Oh, I just realized I have some little things here. A little picture. This is a little picture from her course. Some of the flowers that you'll make. Okay. And then our last prize, I'll actually show this to you. It is a dream cart. Not this one. This one's mine. You can't have this one. But we're going to buy one for someone and ship it to you. So this is from the same makers as the dream box, right? So this is called a dream cart. And you've seen this in many of my videos. I use this a lot. It is so cool. So can you see here? Both of the sides come up, so it can be just this small one. I usually have this sitting right over here, so when you see me like putting things off to the side, I'm putting things in this shelf here. But it actually, both the leaves come up, and I'll put one down. And it spins around, and there's storage on this side too. This thing is so cool because it opens up really big. I don't know if it's 6 or 8 feet wide. It's an awesome thing. I love this. And it's on wheels. Thank you. I love that it's on wheels. So this is the dream cart. So someone is going to win this. Oh, and don't forget about the Dream Box discount too. There's during Maker Academy weekend, there's a $150 discount on the Dream Box if you would like to get one. Let me put that link up real quick while we're talking about this. All right, so the winner, and this is a $600 value for the Dream Cart Craft Storage. And the winner of this one is Debbie Johnson. Here we go. Congratulations, Debbie. This is such an awesome thing. You're going to love this cart. It is super useful. I use it all the time here at the studio. It's really useful. Okay, so let me just put all of our winners up here again so we can see them all, just in case it's important for some reason. I don't know. All right, put away this. There we go. There are all of our winners. Thank you all so much. We'll have more giveaways during our evening encouragement session where we wrap up and I answer more questions and we have more giveaways. We have so many giveaways. In total, there's over 11,000 giveaways, like the value, $11,000 in value of giveaways this weekend. Almost entirely bought by us, not just donated or whatever. Only things I think that were donated were not even the Barely Art Glue. We bought all of these to give to you. I'm a big proponent of buying my own stuff. I think that many of you know this, but just in case you don't, when people love to send Jennifer Maker things to like try and use, and I basically always refuse and say, thank you, but I purchased my own thing. So usually I will go and purchase it and try it out myself. And it's because this is important. It's when I spend my own money, I'm able to determine the value much better. If someone just gives me a thing, like I don't understand the value of it. Like I know how much I paid for all my things. All my dream boxes were bought. They were not given to me. This is true of everything. The only time something might be given to me in advance is like when the Cricut AutoPress came out. No, I got it in advance to learn and make videos to teach you. But as soon as I could buy it, I bought my own Cricut AutoPress. So this is my general philosophy about this. So when I say I love Barely Art Glue, no one is saying, Jennifer, say this and we'll give you, $100 or whatever. That wouldn't also be enough if anyone is listening, but I never accept that offer, because when I recommend something, I want you to know it's because I like it, not because someone paid me to say that. And this I don't plan to ever change this about myself. This is really important to me. Okay, I'll get off my little soapbox there. All right, so I need to go, so get set up for our engraved acrylic nightlights, which will start at the top of the hour. Don't forget that if you're having any issues finding things, don't have our event guide, all that good stuff, go to the link that you see right here, makeracademy.com/weekend links. It'll take you to all the places. Our current live stream, our schedule, our event guide, our design files, all of the things that you need, you can find from this one page here. Okay? All right. Okay, cool. All right then. I'm going to go to an intermission. Hopefully my mic stays off this time. I've asked Craig to just turn it off. Maybe that will help me. We'll see. And then, but I apologize if I make a mistake there. I appreciate your patience with me. All right, going to intermission. We will continue. We'll be in this stream for the rest of the afternoon and the evening. So if you're here, you can just stay here and hang out with us. I would love that. Okay, so intermission, and then at the top of the hour, we will talk all about engraved acrylic nightlights. You're going to love these. Hello everyone, Jennifer Maker here. In this workshop, I'm going to show you how to engrave acrylic night lights. Are you ready for me to show you? I have turned them off so I can turn them on dramatically. That's the idea. Here they are, not turned on. They just look like pieces of plastic, right? But when I turn them on, hopefully this will turn them all on. One remote usually does turn them all on. Ta-da! Isn't that amazing? They're so cool. Let me show you them up close. All right, so just a piece of plastic, right, that we've engraved. But when we put them in the base, all of the edges light up, which makes it so cool. So hopefully I don't knock that out. But see the LED light, and you can change the color and you get different effects. It's super cool. I love it. So this is what we're going to do in this workshop. So engraved acrylic means the most enchanting night lights when they are lit up like this. And I've created 4 new nature-themed designs made especially for Cricut engraving. And I'm going to show you exactly how to prepare, personalize, and perfectly align your engraving for beautiful results every time. These pretty new designs engrave on the acrylic discs perfectly with the Cricut Maker engraving tool. Now, Cricut engraving does take some special tools and some patience, but these night lights are so beautiful. I know you're going to love the results. It's worth it. It's not really that hard. For this particular project, you're going to want a Cricut Maker line machine and the Cricut engraving tip, a piece of acrylic thin enough to fit under the rollers, which means 2 millimeters or less. You can get the complete supply list for this project at jennifermaker.com/427. But let me show you exactly what you need to make these night lights. I've got everything in my dream box, and we will go through everything together. Of course, now it's bugging me that they're like different colors. Let's see if we can get them all to change to the same color. There we go. All right. First, we need acrylic. Let's get it all out so you can see. Remember, everything you need is up there too, so you don't just have to listen to me talk about it. Our amazing and awesome designs are right here. Okay, so let's get everything out here. And we'll talk about this. You can see it's not really that much. It's pretty awesome. Oh, can't forget the remote. All right, so first we need, our acrylic. So an acrylic blank. I used a 4.5-inch round acrylic disc. The important thing about this really is that it is 2 millimeters thick or less to fit under your Cricut engraving tool. Because if it's any more than that, it might not fit. You put away this little box there. If it's any more than that, it might not fit under your tool, or if it does fit, your tool might not lift up enough and it might put drag marks on it. So if you've ever tried to engrave something and you saw weird lines on it, that's likely what was going on. Okay, so, and the designs, of course. I also want to note that there is a protective plastic cover on these, okay? So we'll talk about this when I actually show you how to engrave them, but don't forget that it's there. It's there to protect it when it's shipped to you and all that. So you'll want to remove that from the side that you engrave. That's important. You also want an LED light base to make the magic happen, right? Because this is how we can see our amazing engraving, right? This is the cool thing about it. It lights up the edges and the edges of the plastic as well as the engraving. Isn't that neat? And even though the opening of these bases is about 4 millimeters, if you really want, sometimes you can double up on these for a snug fit. Let's try it right now. It's got the protective cover on it. But yes, oh, this one's actually smaller. Let's do one with the same size. It'll be 2 designs, but whatever. Right, so if you don't like the fact that it kind of will wobble, which does not bug me, it's just sitting there, right? If it bugs you, you can just double up on them and then it fits in there. 4 millimeters, right? Okay, let's put that one back. All right, the engraving tip. Second, actually, we'll set this one right here. You can see the cute little seahorse. The engraving tip is right here. this is the engraving tip. So you also need to have this, the Cricut engraving tip with the housing, so the whole thing all together, and this only works with the Cricut Maker. And finally, we need a purple strong grip machine mat and some painter's tape. These are really important. And I also think that a ruler will come in handy for this, okay? So that's basically it for this project. So acrylic discs and the bases, painter's tape, a strong grip mat. You don't trust me on this. You're gonna want that strong grip mat. You really need, as I have been putting in our little trivia, you really need to have that purple grip mat, the purple strong grip mat when you have anything that's thicker or stiffer like this, because the adhesive just on the other mats just isn't strong enough to keep it in place, and it'll like move, and then your project is like kaput, right? So you really want that strong grip mat for a project like this. Okay, so other thing you need besides your discs and your bases are the designs. So are you ready? Let me show you where to find the free designs, and then how to engrave and how to assemble, because like this is the assembly. It's so easy. We'll go through the whole process together though, including how to personalize them, because you may have noticed that I've got my name on a couple of these. So I'll show you how to do that as well. And also how you can look for other designs, okay? And then I'll answer all your questions. So let's play the video first. Step 1, get my free Cricut engraving designs. Go to jennifermaker.com/427 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. Then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the design by searching the page for design number 427, and then click it to download the zip file with an SVG file for cutting on a Cricut or another cutting machine, a DXF file, and a printable PDF for tracing by hand. I've included 4 designs for you to choose from: a hummingbird, a butterfly, a swimming turtle, and a seahorse. Today I'll show you how to make the seahorse, but you can use the same steps to create the whole collection. First, upload the SVG cut file to Cricut Design Space. If you're unsure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload SVG files. Step 2, prepare and customize your design. This is what my engraving file looks like in Cricut Design Space. Before you begin, make sure you have a good internet connection and any auto sleep functions are turned off on your computer. These nightlights can take up to 20 minutes to engrave, so you don't want to lose your connection and have to start over. If you're using the same materials as I am, it's almost ready to go. I've sized the designs to fit nicely on the 4.5-inch round discs, but you can make them larger if you like. Just remember to keep that lock icon closed. With the image selected, click the field under Operation and choose Engrave. The design will look a bit different, showing that it knows that this isn't a basic cut file. That's all for the canvas, unless you want to add a name. Let me show you a few examples. Customizing an engraved acrylic nightlight takes just a few more steps. The details are a bit different for each file, so I'll demonstrate them all. I'll keep going with the seahorse for now. Once you've changed the operation to engrave, we need to lay out the design. We'll engrave the name vertically to the right of the seahorse. Click the Shapes icon to the left and select a circle from the Free section to add it to your canvas. With the lock icon closed, type 4.5 into the width field to make a circle the same size as the nightlight disc in my materials list. Then click Arrange and Send to Back. Adjust it so there is about 1/4 inch of open space between the design and the circle's left edge. It's important to leave enough space for taping the disc to the mat. We need a bit more space, so with the lock icon closed and the design selected, change the height to 3.5. Adjust the placement as needed. Now to add the name. Click the text icon and type in your name. If you're adding a short name, it will probably fit easily on most of the designs. I'll add Jennifer to show you some design tips for longer names. Let's change the font to one that works well with the engraving tool. Before we pick a font, change the name's layer operation to engrave and the style to writing. That way we can see what the name will look like. Since the engraving tool works differently than other cutting and writing tools, there are fewer fonts that look really nice engraved, especially with small letters like this. The free Cricut fonts I like the most for engraving words are BFC Love Quinn, BFC Spring Blues, Brush Script, Eleanor, Elizabeth, High Jump, Carly, Sunday Swirls, and Zigzag. Of course, you can experiment with other fonts. Just make sure they don't have too many details, and make sure to uncheck the box next to Kerned. Click Filters to select Writing. Then find the font that you'd like to use by typing in the search window. If you're looking for a Cricut font, those are the default fonts, but if you're looking for a system font, be sure to click on the System tab before you start looking. I'm going to look for a Cricut font, and I recommend using a blocky font for writing vertically. I chose BFC Love Quinn for this one. Change the font size to 25 so the letters will fit nicely. To stack the letters vertically, hover over the right side of the bounding box until you see a horizontal line with arrows at both ends. Now click, hold, and drag the bounding box to the left until all the letters are stacked on top of each other. This is text wrapping. Now the letters are still too far apart, but we can fix that. Click on line space and type -4. That brings the letters closer, which is what we want. If you'd like to tweak them a little more, click on Advanced and Ungroup to Letters. Now you can click on each letter individually and place it right where you want it. Once you're happy with the layout, delete the circle. And finally, click Select All and attach the design and the name. Now they'll engrave all together. For the butterfly, let's add some curved text above the bug. First, change the operation to engrave. Then, with the lock icon closed, change the width to 3.25. Add the circle shape and resize it to 4.5 inches. Then click Arrange and Send to Back. Position the butterfly on the circle so you have space at the top, but still have space for taping at the bottom. For a different look, I'm going to write Jennifer in all caps this time. Add your text and change the operation to engrave and style to writing. Again, look at your font options. Uncheck the box next to Kerned and choose Writing under Filters. I chose BFC Love Quinn again, and I changed the size to 30. To fit the name above the butterfly, click the curve icon and type 4 into the text field. If you wanted to reverse the curve to add text at the bottom, you just add a minus sign to the number. Remember, a bit of the disk's bottom will be covered by the light up dock, however. I'll put mine back to the top curve. Once you're happy, delete the circle, and with everything selected, click Align and Center horizontally. Then click Attach at the bottom of the Layers panel, and you are good to go. For the turtle, there's a good spot for a horizontal name to the upper left of the animal. First, change the operation to engrave. We don't have to change the design size. Add the circle shape and resize it to 4.5 inches. Then click Arrange and Send to Back. Move the design on top of the circle so you have space at the top, but still have space for taping. I'm going to try a script font this time. Add your text, type your name, then change the operation to engrave and style to writing. Click on Cricut Sans to pick a font. First, uncheck the box next to Kerned. Click on Filters and select Writing, and then search for BFC Flannel Shirt. You'll notice the letters aren't all touching. We can leave it like that, but I want to move them a bit closer. Click Advanced and Ungroup to Letters. Click on the individual letters and move them until you're happy with how everything looks. I did this by clicking on the letters and using the arrow keys on my keyboard to move them side to side. The bounding box around the letters makes this a little challenging, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Now resize the name so it fits above the design. Delete the circle. Select everything on the canvas and click Attach, and you are all set. Now let's put all of those letter layout skills to the test on the hummingbird. I want to show you how to add curved script above the hummingbird. First, change the operation to engrave. We don't have to change the design size. Add the circle shape and resize it to 4.5 inches, then move it to the back. Place the hummingbird on the circle. Now add your text and change the operation to engrave and style to writing. Click to choose a font, uncheck current, and under filters, choose writing. I want to use the brush script font, so I'll type that into the search window. Once I find that, I then change the font size to 40, and I'll also set the curve tool to 4 again. Now the name looks okay, but the letters aren't really connected or drawn correctly, are they? So again, with the name selected, click Advanced and choose Ungroup to Letters. Then we can move each letter individually until we get the letters to connect the way we want them to appear. Once you're happy with how everything looks, delete the circle, drag a bounding box over the name and design, and click Attach. If you're looking for an even more personalized engraved nightlight, let me show you how to pick and prepare a Cricut image for an etched nightlight. First, click on the images icon to the left of the canvas. Since there are so many options, let's filter some out. Clear any filters, then check the free box. I'm going to search for holiday at the top to narrow my options some more. We're looking for an image that will be easily recognizable as an outline with a few details. You can get more advanced by filling shapes with engraved patterns, but let's keep it simple for now. This gingerbread man is super cute and has lots of contrast. Select the image and click Add to Canvas. Here he is. All right, before we adjust him, let's add the 4.5-inch circle again so we can make sure he's the right size. Click Arrange and Send to Back. I want to put curved text reading "The Makers" at the top and the year at the bottom, but he's too big. So with the design selected and the top lock icon closed, I'll change the height to 2.5. That looks like enough space for my text and the tape. Let's see how he'll look engraved. Just like before, click Operation and change it to Engrave. Use the text tools to add your name to the top. I'll write "The Makers," change the operation to engrave, and the style to writing. Then look at the font options. I'm going to use BFC Love Quinn again in font size 30. Then I'll open the curve tool and enter 8 for a gentle bend. Drag it into place to check that it looks good and adjust anything you'd like. For the year, just select the name and click Duplicate. Then double-click in the text box and change the text to 2022 or whatever year you want. You can even add a special date of your own. In the Curve tool, add a minus right before the 8 to get the opposite of the top bend. Drag the name, Gingerbread Man, and the year into roughly the right places, making sure there's room for taping at the top and the bottom of your disc. Now delete the circle. Then click Select All, Align, and Center horizontally. Finally, click Attach to make sure they stay together, and you're done. Step 3, prepare your disc. Now make sure your acrylic disc is no more than 2 millimeters or 1/16 of an inch thick. Otherwise, it might not fit under your cutting machine's rollers. And even if it does seem to fit, it might get scratched up during the engraving process if it's too thick. So this is important. If your acrylic disc has a protective film, remove it from the side that you're going to engrave. Make a center mark on the protected side. Next, center the disc on your Cricut strong grip mat with the uncovered side facing up. Use the grid lines and mark on your disc to place it perfectly in the center. We'll adjust the placement to match in Design Space too. Tape around the disc's edges using painter's tape to keep it in place during engraving. This is really important, but avoid covering the areas that you plan to engrave. If your tool goes over just a bit of the tape, it should be okay, but avoid it as much as you can. And now we're ready. Make sure you have the right machine selected and click Make It. Step 4, engrave your acrylic. On the Prepare screen, center the design on the mat exactly like the disc on your mat. This way, the Cricut will engrave on the disc and not on the mat. If you don't make this change, you'll ruin a corner of your machine mat. Then, when you're ready, click Continue. For the material, search for acrylic and select thick acrylic 2mm. Change the pressure to more to get a more visible result on your acrylic disc. This project requires the engraving tip with the quick swap housing. Then open up Clamp B, remove whatever tool you have in there, if you have one, of course, and put your engraving tool in the clamp and close it. Make sure the teeth at the top match up before you close that clamp. So move your star wheels to the side, otherwise it might not fit under your cutting machine's rollers. Load your mat and press the flashing button to begin engraving. During the engraving, you may notice a message about the tool lifting and spinning on the computer screen. Don't be alarmed, that's totally normal. These designs should take about 20 minutes to complete. Remember, don't let your computer go to sleep or it will interrupt your engraving process. When your Cricut has finished engraving, unload the mat and use a soft cloth to brush off the debris. Brush any bits off of your machine too. Now take the disc off the mat and carefully peel off the painter's tape. Remove the back protective film and any other debris. A piece of tape will do the trick if then anything is really stuck in there. And this is what my engraved acrylic seahorse design looks like. Isn't he handsome? Step 5, assemble the nightlight. To finish the engraved acrylic nightlight, place it in the LED base. You can have the engraved side face the wall or face out. It doesn't seem to change the look. Now, I made these new designs because you've all loved the engraving projects that I've made before. If you haven't checked them out yet, I'll include links below. You can learn how to engrave metal jewelry, a spatula, more nightlights, and ornaments. You can see my engraving overview for even more tips and ideas too. I can't wait to see what else you'll engrave once you get started. Isn't that amazing? These are so cool. They're really pretty easy once you've got it down. They will make amazing gifts. I have lots of questions, but before I dive into the questions, I want to hop over to Design Space with you and show you a little tip. As I was watching, I realized that I should have explained something. So we're going to do it right now. So I'm going to Cricut Design Space. Let me just make sure I got my window up here. All right. Can you see it? I realize my picture's covering a little bit. We'll move this out of the way. There. All right. So this is the 4.5 inch circle that I had you create to make a template. And then sometimes as we make things, it's hard for us to imagine how other people might see them too. So as I'm watching this video, I'm realizing that it's super hard. Let's fix this, put it to the front. It's hard to see this, right? Like it's black on black. So if you have this problem, because this is the default color for a circle, I recommend you come up here to Operation and you choose Guide. And then it just creates a guide for you that you don't even have to hide or delete. And you can drag your image in here and you can change it to engrave just like that. And now you don't have to hide it, delete it, and it'll stay right there and it'll be easier to use. I also saw, while I'm in here, I saw another question about whether you can use cut files for engraving, and you can, and I demonstrated with the gingerbread man, right? But so here's another one with a little bit more detail. I just grabbed this just now from the image library here in Cricut Design Space. And if we just come up here and go to engrave, this is how it will engrave. So I want you to note, I'm going to zoom in on this. It's not going to fill in the mistletoe here, right? Or the letters. It'll be the outline of it, but it's still pretty cool, I think. So I have seen our VIP pass holders have the ability to see our workshops early, right? And they've been making all sorts of designs, not just our seahorses, but all sorts of things. And it's super cool. All right, so let me answer some questions for you. Let's see if I can get through all of them this time. I would love that. All right, first question. I saw many people ask this one, but Kimberly asked it first. Can these be made on a Cricut Explorer? So the Cricut the Cricut Explorer tool right here, you'll notice it has a gear at the top. This is made for a maker. You can't use this in the Explorer, so don't go buy this and put it in. It won't work. This gear only works with the adaptive tool system that's in the Cricut Maker, both the original and the Maker 3. There is a third-party engraving tool. I have not bought it. I have not used it. I believe it would void your warranty. I guess if your machine's out of warranty and you don't mind the gamble, you can do what you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your stuff, but I never used it, so I can't help you with it. I saw some people in chat talking about it, so you're more than welcome to help one another out with that. Oops. I just have never used it before. Okay. And also, by the same question, Kathy wants to know if you could use a Joy. You cannot use a Joy because the Joy also cannot use this tool. So the thing about the Maker is that it has more, oh my goodness, what's the term? More power. That's not the term. There's a totally a technical term for it. It's got more something than the Explorer. I can't remember right now. I'm so sorry. It's got the ability to press down more, right? It can do more. And of course, it's got that adaptive tool system. Let's just take a look at it. So right here, let's take it. See how it has these gears at the top here? That's the adaptive tool system. So it makes a difference. And the gears fit right in there like that. And here we go. So it goes in there like that. So it's different, right? This part here has the ability to exert more pressure. It's got more cutting power. I don't know what the term is, but there's more force on this. So the tool is made for the Maker, not the Explorer. I think people have gotten the other tool to work on the Explorer, but I've just never experimented with it and tried it. So I don't know for sure. So your mileage may vary. Okay, Marilyn says, can you etch pictures on the acrylic circle? No. You can't etch plastic. You can only etch glass and metal. And is that right? No. Let's get this right. You engrave plastic and metal, and you etch glass. And our next workshop is going to be all about glass etching. I put the two back to back because people get confused between those two words. Understandably, etch and engrave, they're very similar. So, but you would not be able to etch plastic. If you got glass discs, you could totally etch the glass. Okay, what number is the engraving tool? I'll show you. I believe it's 41. Let's see if I remembered right. I did. It is number 41. Let's let that focus for a second. There we go. Number 41 is the tip on the engraving tool. People sometimes get it confused with the, there's another one. I get them confused. I don't remember which one it is, but it is definitely number 41. Okay. Karen says, does the tool come with the Maker? It does not. The Maker comes with the rotary blade and a fine point blade, but not the engraving tip. The engraving tip came out actually after the Maker was introduced. I remember it was a couple years ago, I think. 3 years ago? It's been so long, I'm not sure now. Let's see. A-Dub says, after you engrave these, could you add paint to the back to make the engraving pop if you were making an ornament? Yeah, so some people have taken like dry erase markers and they even colored them in and everything. So you can do it. It may not necessarily be permanent, but we're actually experimenting with some ways to color the engraving. So that will be a future tutorial coming up, I think, in December. So watch for that because we're doing our testing right now. Judith says, don't you have to leave room for the base? Yes, you absolutely do. But it doesn't actually take up that much space. So it's not as big of an issue as you might think. So you can see here. So you see where it is? So it's not really that much. It's like only like this much right here. Now you can't see it because there's no light. It's just this little bit right here at the bottom. It's as far as I know as it goes. So yeah, if you were to attempt to engrave this entire disc, which might be a little tricky, you would not want to. You actually might want to have it go all the way down because if it might look right, but if you would, let's say, put a tiny little like year at the bottom, it would get hidden by the base. Yeah, I don't anticipate many of you would do that, but yes, you should keep in mind that there is, I'd say it's about a 1/2 inch that goes into the base there. Okay. Brighton ST says, don't you have to weld the letters to have them right as shown? Nope, you don't. You can just attach them. That's all you have to do. You don't have to weld them. Now, if we were cutting out, let's say, vinyl and the letters were attached, yes, you would want to weld them so that your little cut lines don't show in between your letters. But because we're engraving, all that matters is that everything be attached together. So different techniques for different crafts. I know that can be a little confusing. That's why something like a tutorial is so helpful because we've done it, we know what works, and you can follow that. And the more you do it, the more you just figure it out on your own. Once you actually do it, it's often, that's like often the light bulb moment. You're like, okay, now I get it, right? Going through the whole process. And then you don't need me anymore. Laurie says, should we move the rollers to the side? Yes, totally. So in fact, let's take a look at that right now because I saw another question about that earlier. So the star wheels is what you meant, right? So let's actually close this up here and move our housing. So these white, trying to point to them, there's one here, 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 and here. These are called the star wheels, and we move them when we do anything where they might make indentations or otherwise mess up our design. Normally they're used to help feed the mat with the material on it. They're fine for vinyls, they're fine for paper. When we want to move them is like when we're doing the foiling, we move them then. We also move it when we do the acrylic because they could actually kind of scratch up our acrylic. So to move them, I don't know how easy it'll be with my left hand. Oh, I can do it. You just kind of slide them down like this. There we go. Usually, now you can't even see them, but they're there. Usually, like I said earlier, in the beginning, for my first project I had to move them for, I slid them over and then just forgot to put them back in and haven't had any problems since then. So if you did that and you're having problems, you might want to actually move your star wheels back. It does help guide your mat in, definitely, and keep everything in place. Okay, Lisa says, what does kerned mean? Kerned is a term that refers to the letter spacing, and fonts can have kerning data, so they can be kerned or not kerned, which means that the font designer designed it so that they adjusted the letter spacing for individual letters. So if it's kerned, it's a little fancier. It's going to look a little better. If it's not kerned, it might be okay, but it might also look a little awkward, right? So by default, you search for kerned fonts because you're going to be happier with them. They look better, but you can always uncheck kerned to see all fonts. So that's why we had you uncheck it, because those fonts that we were using, they didn't have kerning data, but they also were pretty okay. So, it depends. Okay, April says, would this work on the thinner acrylic, 1 millimeter? Yes, it does absolutely work on 1 millimeter, but the end product might not feel quite as substantial. This is already fairly thin, right? Like if you go on to Amazon and you look at the reviews of these discs, right? Which, by the way, I heard some people say we're out of stock. This happens during Maker Academy weekend. They will come back in stock. I put in an alternate last night. I put in 2 alternates for the bases too. So keep an eye on them. Search for other alternatives. What matters is the thickness, okay? 2 millimeters or less. Anyways, if you look at the reviews for this, people were like, oh, these are really thin. And, you know, so any thinner than that might start to feel like wafer thin. If you're a fan of Monty Python's Meaning of Life. I don't know if anyone even would get that reference. That's like really old, from the 80s. Anyway, so yes, you can go thinner. That's a long answer. All right, Deborah says, how deep do the acrylics go into the base? So about a half an inch, right? So it's just a bit. It's just a bit. I mean, it's just the nature of it. So I'd say it's about a half an inch. Pauline says, and how do you fill in something you want engraved as a whole picture but not as an outline? And that, Pauline, is the big question, isn't it? So we actually taught everyone how to do this in last year's Maker Academy weekend, our 2021 one. So if you have that VIP pass, you can go back, and it's in our handwriting to SVG tutorial. If you don't have that, we are working on another tutorial that we're going to come out with in December. So this is something I want everyone to know how to do. It is not a beginner technique. However, I will warn you right now, it's not, but it does do really cool things. In the meantime, you can use my designs. So we'll go back to Cricut Design Space. We'll remove this one because this is not my design. I don't know who made it, but it's really cute. All right, so let's go back so you can see. So for example, I have these. This is a project, I think it's from last December, but these are engraving. They're made for engraving. And in fact, I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. So we pre-filled things in. Do you see all these little lines? It will engrave it like that for you. So we did that work for you so that they will look amazing. So you should definitely dive into my library. There's all sorts of amazing things. We've done engraving projects several times now. And it's whatever. So I have a bunch of designs. So, but this is more advanced, but we're working on it. We are. I want everyone to know how to do this if you really want to know how. Okay. Let's see. Sandra says, you said you could put in 2 discs to take up room. Can you etch one in a mirror and then put them together? Yeah. Can you etch mirror? No, you cannot etch glass, and mirror is glass unless you have a plastic mirror. But what you could do, and maybe this is what you're getting at. So if we had 2 of these discs, what you could do, which might be really neat, I don't know if it would look good or not. You could, the second disc, you could put like let's say adhesive foil on it, which would be like a mirror or, you know, something metallic on that one, and then put it up against this. And so it would be all fancy. You might be able to even see that engraving, right? You kind of see it when there's something behind it. When there's no light, you can see it a little bit better. So, you know, just plain right here, but right, see how you can see it a little better when there's something darker behind it. So if you had like a darker metallic-y vinyl on that second disc, like, I think it might look really cool. What I don't know is how it would look lit up, but I suspect that it would be fine because the light comes up from the bottom up through the disc, and that's why we get all this edge lighting. So it probably would be amazing. It's actually a great idea. Maybe we'll give that a try. I like that. Okay. I see someone, Minito says, my acrylic rounds are 4 inches, not 4.5 inches. Totally fine. You could do 4 inches. You could do 5 inches. What matters is if you're using this base, that it fits in the base. All of those will fit. You're just going to want to adjust your design in Cricut Design Space to fit on your disc, right? So that circle that we had you make, just make sure it matches the dimensions of your acrylic disc. You can make keychains, engraved keychains. You can make ornaments. You can do all sorts of things with this technique. It doesn't just have to be this size disc. Lots of cool things that you can do. Sandy says, would these look okay on the black bases since the white ones are sold out? I found 2 more white bases last night and I put them into the Amazon shopping list. So hopefully they might already be sold out. So I don't know, sorry. But yes, black. I like white. You will notice there's not really a lot of black in any of my places, right? Any of my videos, you won't see. There's nothing wrong with black. Black is cool. I just like this light and airy aesthetic. So I tend to gravitate towards the white things, the white frames, all that. But you might not like it and you might want black. So yeah, of course. I think they would look amazing in black. I just didn't pick black. Susan said, does the disc have to be in the middle of the mat? No, but that is the easiest way to get it centered. So if you are new to this and not sure about the centering thing, put it in the middle of the mat. But it doesn't have to be there. It can be anywhere on the mat. It's just a little bit harder to get it centered. But if you are paying attention to the rulers on your mat, well, let's get one out and I'll show you. So here's our mat. So we have you put it right in the middle because there's that center point and we can measure really easily. We can make sure it's centered, right? Right about like that is centered. But you could absolutely put them like this. You just have to make sure that you're putting your design on your mat in that spot. So it's a little trickier. So, we divide this into quadrants. You got to look at how much space is on either side here and up here. So see here, it's all the right where the lines cross over. You see that? So that's about centered in that quadrant. And then you have to do the same thing over in Cricut Design Space. Let me show you real quick because this is a great question. So let's come over here, make this smaller. Let's just do this hummingbird here. So we will hide those. All right, so let's do make it. All right, so here is our hummingbird. So the quadrant, so you can't see the quadrant, but we know this is 6 inches here and this is 6 inches here. So we have to center it here. See how it's a little trickier, but you can do it. It's just harder to do. So, right? So, so that's why putting it in the center makes it better, right? So what you could do, this might make it a little easier, is let's change this back to, let's put it on engrave. Okay, and let's attach both these layers. This is a little small, sorry. Make this bigger so you can see what I'm doing. Right, so I made that guide, I changed it to engrave. So now it's at 4.5 inches. Maybe we make it a little bigger so that we don't accidentally engrave it, because that's kind of what I'm getting at here, right? I don't know if, so I'm going to make it a little bigger. It's 4.8 inches, so this is bigger than my disc because I don't want to actually engrave it. I might try to engrave my mat though. Thinking, like I think that it might get tricky because I haven't tried this. But maybe it's worth a try. Someone can give this a try and let us know. So let's align these centered horizontally and put it about where we'd want it, okay? So then we can attach these and go to make it. Now we see about where our acrylic disc will be, right? About, right? So now it's a little easier to center it in that quadrant because now we have like the full size of it, right? I don't know what would happen when it tries to engrave around it. It might do nothing because it might not actually make any contact with the disc because the disc is like, pretty high up on that mat. It might work perfectly. I'd have to try, but does this make sense what I'm saying? Like, so you could do this. It's a lot trickier, and that's why we teach you to put it in the center of your mat. So again, that was a long answer to a question, but I thought that was a really good question. Okay. Judy says, is the base on a timer? No, but the lights can cycle through it while it's turned on. And I think it's one of these. I'm trying. Oh, can you see them changing? Partly changing. Let's see if I can get at them to change better. There we go. So you can have them like the remote's kind of, the remote's pretty cool. Like you can change all the colors. So I can have it all be this blue. You do want to put it in front of it when you change them, or they can all be yellow. And that one remote will control all of them, but usually you'll have just one, right? But you can set it to flash. So whatever, you can have fun with it. So, but it's not on a timer, no. You can also lower it and dim it too. I'm going to stop it flashing and just put it on this window. I do want to note that the bases that we used also come with a USB cable, because otherwise you have to rely on a battery compartment, which of course batteries run out. So this might be another option if you are using it as a nightlight and you don't want to worry about changing the batteries all the time. Use the USB cable. You'll just need to get a plug to go into your wall for the other end of the cable. But that might be a way to not go through the batteries as much. Let's see here. Janice says, I think I only have time for 2 more questions. Jenna says, would there be any benefit to mirroring the design so the etched and slightly scratched side is at the back, and the smooth non-engraved side is at the front, and the design shows through? You can mirror the design or simply flip the disc around. It's a matter of preference. We didn't really find that it made any difference in the ability for it to light up, however. So if you would like it to be smooth on the front, you could mirror it and put the design on the back. Absolutely. All right. And is 1/12, Robin asks, is 1/12 thickness the right size disc? 1/12 would be the same as 2.11 millimeters. So that means it would be too thick. So that's not the right size. So if anything is out of stock, and I'm going to bet it is, because this happens all the time, give it a couple days and things will come back in stock, right? I know that you're eager to make things right now, but I bet that, well, first of all, if you check on Monday, they might be back in stock. But second of all, we keep an eye on our stuff, right? So when we see things that are going out of stock, or you get that it's not available and we don't know if it's ever going to come back in message, right? We go find another one that we think will work and we link that in. So we try to keep these things up to date. And if ever we're not, you can write to us and we go find it and go put it in there for you. We do this all the time. So yeah, totally ask us. Ask us if you get stuck, but we are keeping these lists up to date. So, all right, it is time for me to get ready for our next session. I have to figure out what our next one is. Oh no, of course I remember. It's etching, glass etching. So we're going to etch ornaments. So it's not the same as this. It's different, but we're going to look at how you can affect glass with etching. So that's coming up at the top of the hour. You can get the supply list now over at jennifermaker.com/427 so you can get a preview of it. So let's take a quick break to switch over to the next workshop. Go get yourself a drink, take a break, do all those things, and we will meet right back here at the top of the hour in the same stream. It was just right. I'm glad you think that, Christine. Oh, no, we can show them.
Show it?
Yes,
Okay.
let's set it off at the side or something. They will ask. So, is that the one that they tried to, even?
There might be vandals in here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, like set them off to the side because they'll ask questions and then I can bring them out to show them.
I don't think so. We have plenty on this tree right now. Yeah, you gotta go up the black ones. Last fall, I think this one fall.
Does this have lights? Can we get some AA batteries and put some lights in this? Do you know where they are? Okay.
On extra ornaments. One large snowflake.
Your mic is open to hear you. Are they hearing something else? No, they're not messing with me. Then no one said that. Oh, my mic is now on. Yes. Hello everyone, Jennifer Maker here. Before I start our workshop, I'm going to apologize again for having my mic turned on. We can't figure it out. We don't even know where it's coming from. I got the batteries in. See, I got the Christmas tree lit up. And I saw a comment from someone, Jennifer White, I think it said, just turn off the music and let us hear you backstage. You don't want to hear us. That's like looking behind the curtain, right? We want it to be awesome and cool for you. You don't need to hear all that. So we're trying to figure out why sometimes you can hear us and sometimes you can't. We had the same problem last year and we thought we had gotten it, and then all of a sudden it's all just whatever technology. So we're going to keep working on this. I apologize in advance. Something is escaping our notice, so we're going to figure it out. Thank you all for being patient with us. Oh my goodness, I'm talking while I have the name up. That is so classic. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to start that little intro again, and we're going to do this workshop properly so that I've apologized for that. Okay, thank you all for your grace with me. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to do our little intro, and then we're going to start talking about etched glass ornaments. Hello everyone, Jennifer Maker here. Let's learn how to make beautiful etched glass ornaments. Glass ornaments are a really special and unique way to commemorate the holidays. Store-bought ornaments are nice, of course, but there's nothing quite like a homemade ornament, especially one that you make yourself. So how about an etched glass ornament? You've all told me how much you love etching glass, and I totally get it. It is like magic. It is so cool that we can even do this. So for these ornaments, I wanted to combine some popular themes and some new etching techniques that I've tried. Ornament crafts are super popular during the winter holidays, and I thought this etched glass ornament project would come in really handy for you to help you prepare. Now you can get the complete supply list for this project over at jennifermaker.com/411. That's where you'll find everything that we have used for this project. But I'm going to get everything out from the dream box and go over the supplies and tools with you. So I have everything stored right here. There's a fair amount more for this project than for our last project, but still totally doable. All right. So first we need, let me get some of our things out here actually, so I can get to everything. Safety things. We'll go over safety, of course. Safety is super important. our designs. We have lots of things for this project. Safety, okay. Armor etch. All right, so we're going to begin with, let me put this over here for now. So first of all, we need, let me put away our numbers so that it's not getting in your way.
Wrong. Link should be 412, I think. It says 411.
Okay. So we're going to begin with a glass ornament. So this is a glass ball. It is 2.75 inches in diameter, or you can go larger, of course. It does not have to be exact. Please note that you cannot etch on plastic ornaments. You need glass. It doesn't sound like glass. This is glass, okay? So in addition to the glass, you also need, I'm going to use my painter's tape to keep my ornament in place. Little handy trick there. You need some vinyl. It doesn't matter what color it is. Any color you have is fine. And then you'll need some transfer tape, of course, right? Some vinyl and some transfer tape. And then you need a bottle of Armor Etch. This is where the magic happens. Armor Etch is the only glass etching cream I've ever used. I'm sure that there are others, but this one works really well. In addition to your Armor Etch, you will need a brush. I don't recommend that you use a foam brush. I recommend a regular paintbrush like this. I think it works better at getting the etching cream to be as consistent as possible. And then another little thing that we're doing is, to make these extra special, is we are using Rub and Buff metallic finish. So this is a wax that you can use on etching. You don't need very much, just still about a pea-sized amount, and it can make your etching stand out more. So this is something that we've been doing recently, and it works quite well. In fact, let me should give you an example of one that has this one right here. I hold that up so you can see it. There we go, it focused. So this has gold Rub and Buff on it, so you can see that it stands out better. Even in these really bright lights here, we also put some crystals on it for fun. All right, so let me set this. I'll actually set this one over here so that you can keep in looking at it. There we go. Safety is important. So I always talk about what a big deal that is. So you're going to want to have some safety goggles and a well-fitting mask because the Armor Etch does produce fumes. I also recommend that you wear an apron to protect your clothing and gloves, okay? This is a caustic material and I don't want anyone to be harmed by it. It's typically fine, but please be safe. It's a big deal to me that everybody stays safe when they're doing their crafts, okay? Let's see. And then I didn't mention the crystals. You can get those if you want. Oh, one other thing, butcher paper to protect your work surface is really important so you don't get any, etch your desk. And then some painter's tape is going to be important to hold your ornament in place while you're etching, and also to cover up places that you don't want etched. So it's got a double purpose. See how you can just place your ornament right in there? Could be a roll of masking tape too, whatever you have. You can also use a lint roller for that, by the way. All right, so other things that you'll want to have are a brayer for getting your vinyl done onto your mat. You'll want a weeding tool for weeding your vinyl, right? A scraper tool, some paper towels would be really handy, and a measuring tool is also useful, so I will get that out as well. Little crystals. I'll show you these little crystals if you would like to put crystals on, because I thought that looked really pretty. So the little crystals, see if you can get a good look at them. They're just little, tiny little things, and you just can glue them right on, and it gives you an effect like this. The chance to focus. There we go. Isn't it pretty? And you don't have to do that, of course. And something else you can do in addition to that is to actually do a reverse etching technique where we etch the whole thing except the parts that you want to, like the design. So in this case we have some cardinals, so they are not etched, but everything else is. Isn't that neat? So that's another way that you can do etching, which I think is pretty cool. Okay, let's see. What else is there that we need? We have quite a bit here as it is. The decorations, of course. The crystals, by the way, those are size SS16 and they're flat back, so they'll glue onto the ornament. And then I used my favorite glue, Barely Art adhesive, Barely Art Precision Craft Glue, to get them on. So let me show you where to find the stencils that we will use for this project, and then how to apply them and how to etch your ornaments.
Step 1, get my etched glassed ornament designs. First, let's get the free design files. Go to jennifermaker.com/412 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. Then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the designs on the page by searching for design number 412 and then click it to download a zip file with the SVG files for cutting on a Cricut or another cutting machine, DXF files, and printable PDFs for cutting by hand. I'm going to show you how to etch your glass with stencils cut on a Cricut cutting machine because it is so fast and accurate. So next you'll want to upload the SVG files to Cricut Design Space. If you're unsure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload SVG files. There are 3 designs in the file: a pair of cardinals, customizable snowflakes, and a snowman. Step 2, customize your snowflake designs. I'll show you how to personalize my snowflakes design today with a name, but the techniques are the same for the other designs. This is what my snowflakes design looks like on my canvas in Cricut Design Space. You will see the split snowflake in the middle, and that's where we'll add our personalization. The other 4 snowflakes are for extra decoration on the back, and they're optional, of course. Everything can be resized to create your own unique snowflake, just like in nature. My snowflakes design fits on either the 2 3/4 inch ornaments or the ones slightly larger than 3 inches that are on my materials list. The etched area will be about 2 inches square on the front, with several smaller snowflakes on the back. If you're decorating a larger ornament, measure it to see how large your stencil should be. Keep the lock icon closed to maintain the proportions, and click and drag a corner of the bounding box to size, or just type a new dimension for the width in the top menu. I don't recommend putting these designs on smaller ornaments, as the details may get lost when etching. If you need any help resizing in SVG and Cricut Design Space, check out my resizing guide, where I explain exactly what you need to do to resize any design to fit your needs. It's over at jennifermaker.com/resizesvg. Now I'll show you some customization steps for this design. See the blank space in the middle of the big snowflake? This is where we'll put our name. You could also add a year or maybe a short word if you like, such as joy or even celebrate. It's totally up to you. Start by clicking Ungroup at the top of the layers on the right. Next, click the text icon on the left. A box with text highlighted in it will appear. Without clicking anywhere else, type in the text that you want. I'm going to type "The Makers." Now click the box that says Cricut Sans under Font in the top menu to see your font options. I'm going to use the font Timberly, which you can download from fontbundles.net. But feel free to use any font you want, of course. Move your text into the blank area and resize it to fit. Zoom in so you can see the details. You can do this by clicking on the plus sign on the lower side of the canvas. Make sure your words don't get too close to the other elements or the stencil may tear. If you need a little more space, click the top snowflake piece and use your up arrow key to move it just a tiny bit. Less is more to keep the design looking symmetrical. Once you're happy with the layout, hold Shift and click the snowflake pieces and name, and then click Align in the top menu and choose Center horizontally. Now click Weld below the Layers panel on the bottom right to bring them all onto the same layer. If you did it right, you should see the weld result, which includes the snowflake and your name at the top of the Layers panel. If your snowflake doesn't look right, click Undo and fix it now, because Design Space doesn't have an Unweld button. To make it easier to weed and apply to the curved surface of the ornament, I enclosed my stencil in a circle. It sounds complicated, but I will walk you through the process step by step. Here's how. Use the shape icon to add a circle to the canvas and resize it to 2 3/4 of an inch by typing that into the width box under size at the top. Make sure the lock icon is locked. Then use the Arrange menu to send to the back. Hold Shift and select both the circle and the snowflake in the Layers panel. Center align the layers, then click Slice below the Layers panel. You'll see 3 layers named Slice Results appear in the Layers panel. Click and delete the 2 layers without circles, leaving the circle with the snowflake cut out. If the stencil color doesn't match the other snowflakes, use the color box in the top menu to change it. That way, all of the stencils can be cut on one mat. Your canvas should look similar to mine. Select the correct machine in the top menu and click Make It to move to the Prepare screen. A pop-up window might appear asking you how you want to load your materials. If it does, select On Mat and choose 12-inch by 12-inch, and then click Continue. The stencils are pretty close together, so I recommend dragging them apart from each other so you have space to cut them apart. I just clicked on the one on the far right, moved that all the way over, and spaced the others out like this. Click Continue to move to the Make screen. Under Set Base Material, I chose Premium Vinyl Permanent Glossy, which means permanent vinyl. Make sure your Cricut fine point blade is clean and in clamp B as indicated on the screen. And I usually change my pressure to more for the best cut. Put your vinyl shiny side up on your machine mat and use a brayer to get the vinyl as smooth as possible on your mat. It really helps with detailed cuts. Then load the mat into your Cricut and press the flashing button to begin cutting. When the cut is complete, unload the mat, flip it over onto your workspace, and gently roll a corner back to release the vinyl. Step 3, prepare the stencils and ornament. Now it's time to make the stencils. First, trim the excess vinyl away, then weed the snowflakes and words themselves instead of removing the vinyl around them as you might have done for another project. Stencils require the opposite weeding approach from traditional vinyl decals. We want the etching cream to create the design, so we need the vinyl to protect the area between and around our snowflakes. Be sure to leave the centers of any letters and snowflakes in place. If they accidentally come off, just put them back in place carefully. Also, remove the extra vinyl around the circles. Next, let's add transfer tape to the stencils using my taco method. To do this, cut pieces of transfer tape slightly larger than your stencils. Remove the backing from the large piece of transfer tape. Apply it to your customized snowflake by holding the transfer tape in the shape of a taco or a U shape. Then put the bottom of your taco onto the middle of your design. Smooth the tape over the decal from the center outward to minimize wrinkles and bubbles. And repeat for the smaller snowflakes. With the transfer tape in place, run a scraper tool or other hard and flat-edged item, like a plastic store loyalty card, all over the project's front and back with medium pressure. Flip your large snowflake over and remove the paper backing from the vinyl. If your stencil is still sticking to the backing paper, replace the transfer tape and burnish again. Your first stencil is now ready to use. Next, let's make our ornament easier to etch. Remove the metal hanging hardware and set it aside. Place an extra roll of painter's tape on its side to hold your ornament still. Next, clean the ornaments outside with isopropyl alcohol and a lint-free cloth or a coffee filter to remove any dust or oils that will make the vinyl stick less. Avoid handling the glass with bare hands and let it dry in the tape roll. Step 4. Etch your ornament. Before you apply the vinyl to the ornament, cut small slits around the outside edge of the transfer tape. This is really a game changer and one of my favorite tips. It allows the transfer tape and vinyl to curve to the surface, preventing bubbles and creasing. This is especially important for an etching project because you don't want any of the cream to get under the vinyl. I put on disposable gloves before applying the vinyl to protect the ornament from smudges. There are also some protection in case a delicate ornament breaks. The smaller snowflakes are meant to go on the back of the ornament. It's tough to get an even result on such detailed designs on both sides of the ornament at once, so I did 2 rounds of etching. So you can prepare the smaller snowflakes the same way, but leave the backing in place for now. Place your ornament face up in the tape roll. Now, bend your design up in a taco shape over the ornament and lay the middle down on your glass, gently smoothing it from the middle outward. And I mean gently. Glass ornaments are fragile and will break if too much pressure is applied. Ask me how I know. So press lightly and go slowly. And don't worry if some wrinkles form at the outer edges of the stencil. They're hard to prevent on such a small curved surface. We'll use another helpful tool to seal them. Just make sure you don't have any wrinkles or bubbles right next to your snowflake designs or your words. When smoothing your design, start with the center words, as that area requires the most precise etching for it to work right. Once you get to the edges of your snowflake, you can lift the vinyl up and reapply if it gets too wrinkly. A weeding tool can help here, just don't poke holes in the vinyl. Once your stencil is smoothed on the ornament, remove the transfer tape. If some of the vinyl comes up with the transfer tape, just push it back down and try again. Since we cut slits in the tape, it will peel off in strips, and that's okay. Check your vinyl to be certain all areas around the design are stuck well to the glass. This is important as it will stop your etching cream from bleeding into areas that you don't want to etch. Go around all parts of the design with your fingers and gently push the vinyl down well, removing any bubbles or creases as best you can. Really take your time with this. It makes all the difference in the end result. Now for that helpful sealing tool I mentioned, painter's tape. Before applying the etching cream, cover the rest of the ornament around your stencil with painter's tape to avoid getting the etching cream where you don't want it. Add a piece over the next opening so none of the cream gets inside when you rinse it off too. And don't skip the extra tape. The cream is really powerful and will etch the areas you want to keep clear very easily. So be liberal with your tape. And remember, safety first. Read the etching cream's instructions and guidance on accidental exposure before proceeding with this project. Etching cream is caustic and you don't want to inhale it or get it on your skin or in your eyes. Before opening the etching cream, be sure to put on a pair of safety goggles, some gloves, an apron, and a fitted respirator. If you do come into contact with the cream, follow the bottle's directions immediately. Also, be sure you're in a well-ventilated area or outside with a flat work surface. It's also a good idea to cover your work surface with butcher paper before you begin, as you don't want to get any etching cream on it. Now shake your etching cream really well before you open it. Before you open the bottle, set your timer for 3 minutes for the first etching step. And don't touch your phone with any etching cream on your gloves, okay? All right, now apply the etching cream to the glass with a regular paintbrush, not a foam brush, which could snag and lift parts of your design. Add enough etching cream that you can no longer see the outline of your design underneath. Once it's on your design, brush the etching cream around for at least 3 minutes. Move it up and down, side to side, and diagonally. Keep the cream moving around your design, getting it into every nook and cranny. After the 3 minutes are up, apply more cream in areas where it looks thinned out and then let it sit for another 5 to 10 minutes. You can carefully set your timer if you do it without getting the etching cream on it. Don't be tempted to pick up your phone or touch anything else that you don't want to etch by accident. Let the etching cream sit on the glass for longer if you want a more uniform and deeper etch. When the timer is up, you can remove the etching cream. Keep your protective equipment on. If you used a lot of etching cream, you can scrape it back into the container to be reused. Rinse the remaining etching cream off of the glass under running water into a plastic or metal sink. The etching cream can damage porcelain and other sink materials, so please be careful. And be sure to get all of the etching cream off the glass before you remove the vinyl stencils. You don't want to accidentally touch it or get it onto your work surface. Dry the glass well and remove the painter's tape and stencils. If you need a bit of help, carefully lift the pieces with your weeding tool. Give the glass a final rinse after all the stencil pieces have been removed and dry it off. Now you can apply the small snowflakes to the back and sides of your ornament for the second etching round. This step is optional, of course, and you can apply just one or all four. It's totally up to you. Apply each one using the same technique as before, making sure to space them evenly around the ornament surface. Again, you may have wrinkles around the stencil's outside edges, but that's okay as long as you smooth out the areas right next to your designs. And when applying the painter's tape, be sure to press it down well around the outside of each stencil so the etching cream doesn't seep onto the glass. Remember, don't press too hard. If you placed your stencils far apart, some might be covered by the tape roll when you lay the ornament down. If so, hold the ornament by the neck as you apply the etching cream. Use the same method as above to apply the cream, moving it all around the stencils for 3 minutes and letting it sit for another 5 to 10 minutes. Once the time is up, rinse off the cream under running water, remove the tape and vinyl, and dry the ornament. This is what the back of my ornament looks like after etching the small snowflakes around it. Isn't it cool? Be sure to clean off any etching cream from your brush or other supplies before putting everything away. And now you can remove your safety equipment. Step 5, customize your etched ornament. The etched ornament looks really pretty as it is, but you know I love to make things extra fabulous. One of my favorite ways is to fancy up glass with rub and buff wax. It adds a beautiful metallic finish to make the designs really stand out. You'll need the wax, clean gloves, a dry paper towel, and rubbing alcohol for this technique. Squeeze a tiny amount of rub and buff onto your gloved finger and pat it over the etched design. Buff it in with a dry paper towel. You can wipe the excess off of the plain glass, but the wax dries quickly, so you may need to dampen the paper towel to get it all off. If it's really stubborn, try a little bit of rubbing alcohol. The result is so pretty. Crystals are another fun addition. I used a thick tacky glue. You may need to use tweezers to apply them. Apply a tiny amount of glue to the back of each crystal and place it on the ornament. Let the glue dry before moving the ornament. Once you're done, insert the metal hanging hardware back into the top of the ornament so it's ready to hang. So here are some more design tips. The cardinal and snowman designs are pretty similar to the snowflake design, with a few important changes. I designed the cardinal stencil to use reverse etching, meaning the birds will be clear glass surrounded by etched areas. So when you prepare the cardinal decal, trim and weed it as a normal design, and then apply it to the ornament and cover the rest of the glass with the etching cream. I still recommend covering the neck and opening with painter's tape to avoid etching the inside. If you want to make the cardinals as a traditional stencil, slice it out of a circle like I taught you in the snowflake directions. Now the snowman design is a little tricky to apply all in one piece, so I split it into a top and a bottom for you. When you apply the stencils to the ornament, overlap them in the center just a bit to prevent etching cream from getting onto the glass. You can also apply a thin strip of vinyl or painter's tape to the seam for extra protection. Aren't they amazing?
This was so cool. This is such a fun project. I see lots of questions. Before I get to the question, first I need to correct the supply list link. I had given you the wrong link. It should go to jennifermaker.com/412. All right, so whatever I told you before was not correct, go to here to get the supply list. Everything that you need for this project is at jennifermaker.com/412. Alrighty, so let me go to my questions. First, I saw many people asking if you can make this on the Cricut Explorer. Yes, you can make this project. You can make etching stencils on the Maker, the Explorer, and the Joy. Everybody can do this. It is not dependent upon a tool in the Cricut the way the engraving project was. Instead, all we need is to make cut vinyl, and all of our machines can do that. So everyone can do this project. The other question I saw a lot of was, can you do this on plastic ornaments? And no, you cannot. Etching cream, Armor Etch, does not etch plastic. There is one around here where we, just to see if maybe it would do it anyways, we tried it. Nothing. There's nothing on it. So don't, you can try it. You can try anything you want, safely, of course. But we tried etching plastic for you because we knew you'd want to know, and it will not work, okay? This is for glass. This is glass etching cream, okay? So that's important also. Lamb Kitty wants to know if you could ever put anything in the ornament. Totally, you can put things in these ornaments. These are fillable ornaments after all. Put some glitter in there. That might be a little crazy if it dropped. Can you imagine? That would literally be like a glitter bomb. maybe not glitter, maybe confetti. That might be more realistic. Some big chunky confetti. You could cut it yourself on your Cricut from party foil. That would be fun. You can put other things in there too, yes. Maybe not glitter. All right, Marge wants to know if the rub and buff is washable like for a drinking glass. So it tolerates water, but like I wouldn't use it on a drinking glass because you really need to like rub. It will scrub off and alcohol will take it right off. So it'll tolerate a little water, but I like, given that you need to wash a glass, a fair amount, this is only a decorative thing, right? So I link 412 is an error. We'll have to work on that. Sorry, everybody. Well, then you can go directly to the blog post. Let me give you that link. In fact, let's just take you over there right now to my website. We're going to go right over there. This is where we are on we're in the library. I'll give everyone a little lesson on how to find things. You can find anything here. We're going to go to the very top of our blog, which you can always do by clicking on Jennifer Maker right here, jennifermaker.com. Right here, it says looking for something. This box is visible whether you're on a desktop or your phone. You might have to scroll down a little bit further on your phone. So let's type in etched glass ornaments. You probably don't even have to put in all of it. You could probably just put in etched. We have other etching projects, of course, and I'll press return on my keyboard. And there it is right there at the top. And here is our project. So the full address to this project is jennifermaker.com/etched-glass-ornaments. So this is we make those little short links just because it's so hard to type in all of that and to say all of it. So we always give you numbers, and those numbers correspond to the design number in the library. But this is the actual blog post for it, and you can see all the pretty photos of it. And isn't it pretty? And here is the supply list. Okay, so it's all right here for you. All of these things that you see that have this blue underline, those are hyperlinks. They'll take you right to the exact thing we used. And up here where it says view my Amazon shopping list, this will take you to a little shopping list that I made on Amazon because we buy all of our things on Amazon. If you click it, it takes you right. These are the exact ornaments that we're showing you today. Here's the exact vinyl. Here's the Armor Etch and the rub and buff and everything. Everything is right here. So you can always find all the things you need at a glance. By the way, I always put the machines that a project will work on. So you can always like be like, oh, there's my Cricut Joy. I can do this project in my Joy. So just a little thing that might help you out. Okay, back to questions. Let's see here. So sorry that I got the link wrong. Live video, it happens. All right, let's see. Karen says, can you use removable vinyl if you don't have permanent vinyl for etching? So you can, but you might not be happy with the results. You really need a nice tight seal of your vinyl onto your glass. Otherwise, it'll seep underneath and it will bleed. And removable vinyl is just not as sticky as permanent vinyl. I did a whole bunch of testing on this a few years ago when I first started etching, and I did not get happy results with removable vinyl. So you can try it and you might get lucky, but just know that it also might not work. Okay. Let's see here. Some more questions. Can you use the glass ornaments that have colors? Yes, you can etch colored glass ornaments. The most important thing that you remember is that it be glass, not plastic. So be extra sure that you're buying a colored glass ornament, but it should work fine. Yes. Let's see here. Lisa says, I bought stencil vinyl. Can I use stencil vinyl several times? For an etching project, you're only going to want to use it once, because once you have that cream on there, first of all, it might damage the vinyl and you might not get it might not get a good, nice, crisp line the next time. But also vinyl, even including stencil vinyl, it's not intended for repeated use. It will, especially on a curved surface, when you peel it off, it will distort. And when you go to put it back on, it's not going to look the way that it looked before. So I don't recommend that you try to reuse your stencil vinyl, but you can use stencil vinyl. I actually tested both permanent vinyl and stencil vinyl to see if, maybe stencil vinyl would be better, but I found no difference at all. So they basically work the same way. All right. Can you etch on a glass block? Yes, you can etch on a glass block. You can etch anything that's glass. And that's why we were warning you to be careful not to touch your phone or your tablet while you're etching, because that has happened. It's not happened to me, thankfully, but we know it's happened to others. I also saw a question about what do you do if you have a porcelain sink, right? Because they can etch the porcelain. Because it can etch ceramic, essentially. It doesn't look amazing, right? You won't really notice it. Like, I'm not going to recommend that you go out and get a piece of ceramic and etch it, because you will basically, it just takes off the glazing. So you can't really see anything amazing. It doesn't look like anything. So what do you do if you have a porcelain sink? Get yourself a plastic bucket from your local home improvement store and use that instead, and just rinse it off in your big 5-gallon bucket. And that will work totally fine. Let's see. Carolyn says, did you use a PDF or an SVG for the stencil? So for the one that you saw us using in Cricut Design Space, that was an SVG cut file that we uploaded to Cricut Design Space. If you wanted to use a PDF, for something else, you can cut vinyl with a craft knife. It is a little tricky to do, but it is totally possible. So you might want to use that as a template, so we always include PDFs because we don't always know how a person might want to use our designs. There's a lot of different things that you can use them for, right? Sometimes it's just a coloring page, So we always have a PDF in there because it's so important to me that we be accessible to people, not just those who can afford a cutting machine, but everybody who wants to make something. It's really important to me. But we use an SVG cut file. Donna, hi Donna, it was nice to chat with you last night. Donna says, is there a maximum amount of time the etching cream can be left on? We recommend 5 to 10 minutes, but honestly, I know people who leave it on there for 30 minutes. I don't know if there's a maximum time. There probably is. I have to imagine that after a while, the etching cream might affect the vinyl itself and the edges, and you might start to get bleeding. I don't know. I've never timed it to see how long can we drag it out. But I do notice there are some people out there who feel that they get better results with a half an hour. I'm not one of those people. I did lots and lots of testing, and it's totally fine if you're one of those people. You do what works for you. This is important. Always important to me. If you're getting good results with one thing, keep doing that. But we found that 5 to 10 minutes works just fine. The key is to keep your etching cream moving. It even says that somewhere on, I don't know what's on the back of the label or something, but there are like little crystals in here and they help to etch it. So that's why the moving makes a difference. Kathy says, how did you hold ornaments to etch the whole ornament? Oh, how do you hold them? Well, so, you could hold them by the top, right? To etch the whole thing, like the whole thing right here, just hold it by the top. I would still probably take this off. I don't know if it would feel stable enough. Plus, you might want to actually get your etching cream all the way to the top here, right? You might want to get it all up here. So take it off, put some tape around here, and then, if you're trying to get all of that, you probably want to put something inside of it that is stable, and then you can kind of rotate it. And it might be a little tricky, but you could do that. But since the ornament, this cap goes back on, you don't really have to get it that far up the neck here, right? Amy says, why are people asking about your shoes? I haven't seen anyone ask about my shoes today. Thank you very much, Amy. Okay, obviously someone asked about my shoes. People are asking about my shoes, I presume. I have not seen that in the chat. I'm going to take your word for it because I like to wear cute, unusual shoes. And sometimes they see them in videos. That's all it is. We do not have a shoe cam. However, yesterday in our kickoff party, I saw several people tell Greg to make one. So I guess we'll see if he makes one or not. I don't know if he will. Oh, and I hear that our link is fixed. Thank you. So this link now should take you to the correct tutorial for our project. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so jennifermaker.com/412 should now take you to the supply list for this. Let's see here. Heidi says, you are always so patient and kind. What did you do before you became America's crafting sweetheart? Oh, Heidi, you're like my new best friend. That is really sweet of you. I don't not consider myself that, but that's very sweet of you. What did I do before this? I have always been a person that wanted to teach other stuff. Before I was Jennifer Maker, before I taught people how to make things, I was teaching people how to travel to Disney World and Disney Cruise Line by writing books. I wrote over 60 books. I also taught people how to use computers. So essentially before, I don't know, honestly, I'm a writer. That's what I do. And now I'm online and I talk here too. So I have always been teaching people in some way or another. It wasn't always crafting. Before this, it was travel. So the honest truth is that I like to take a thing I love to do and turn it like my passion and turn it into the thing I get to do every day. That's actually what I do. So I love to craft. So now I get to do it every day and I get to teach other people how to do it too. Okay, R says, how did you find the Amazon shopping list? Go to this link right here, jennifermaker.com/412, and look for the yellow box on the page. In that yellow box, you will see something that says, I'll just show you again. That is the wrong link. That's Cricut Design Space. Here we go. This yellow box right here. And here is the Amazon shopping list. You will find this shopping list in every single one of my tutorials for the past 2-3 years. I've been making them for a long time. It's like super convenient and lets me put everything together into one spot and just share that link. It is very easy. But also everything down here is also linked to Amazon, and it'll tell you sometimes like there's quantities of things. So those are linked, but in this case, there's really no quantities for things. So an Amazon shopping list actually works out better. Alrighty. Thank you for the kind words, everybody. I really appreciate that. Cindy says, do you have to use warm water or does it matter? It doesn't matter. I will use warm water because I don't like cold water on my hands. But it doesn't matter as far as I know at all. Brenda says, what else can you use to permanently color the etched glass besides rub and buff? We have a whole tutorial on this where we experimented with different things. We used some oil paints, we used some acrylic paints, markers, paint markers, a bunch of different stuff. The rub and buff was the best, so that's why we're recommending it now. But you can go and check out that tutorial. It's on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/JenniferMaker. So you might be on YouTube right now, you might not be, but I did that last December, I think. So you could just search for how to color etching. Is that what I believe it was called? Yes. Okay. All right. It is just about time for me to wrap up. Let me check for any. I see 2 more questions. One is, how long can I use the shopping list? That shopping list, the supply list, that blog post that I showed you, it will remain there indefinitely. I don't take down any designs. I don't take down any supplies. In fact, we continue to keep our supply list up to date. So if something goes out of stock or stops being sold altogether, we go find a new source for it and we put it in there. So that's indefinite. So you get access to that. Unless Amazon kicks me out or something, which I hope does not happen. I love Amazon. I have been using Amazon for a very long time. I'm pretty sure I started in their first year when anyone could really join. Very long time. Crystal says, if you're doing the reverse way and etching the whole ball, could you use the foam brush for a wider surface? I don't recommend a foam brush. I know it's really tempting because it's like a lot broader and you'll be able to do more, but it delivers inconsistent results, right? So that's the thing about etching, is that as soon as that etching cream hits the glass, it's going to start etching. So that's why we see inconsistent results. It is the nature of it. If you wanted something that was more consistent, you'd have to move up to like sandblasting, which is not a craft I've ever done. I don't know if I'll ever do that one either. You never know though. But it's also not super accessible. You have to have really special equipment for it, like a whole thing. So don't use a foam brush. Use a regular brush. It'll make a difference. I know it's a lot to cover, but you're going to get better results. So that's what matters, right? Okay. What colors do the rub and buff come in? A whole bunch of colors. So we just use green, gold and silver, but you can also, there's like red and green and blue and yellow, all sorts of colors. So before I wrap up, let's just take one more look at, because there's a couple here I didn't even show you. Where's my Santa or my snowman? Let's take one more look at these pretty ornaments, because I know it's kind of hard to see. You just kind of can see some balls over here. It's not the same. So here is a snowman that says, do you believe in magic? See, we put some little frosted snow in there. Isn't that cute? So you'll also notice it makes it a little easier to see. And then here is the makers. Hold that one up so you can see that one with the crystals on it. And I think that there's our cardinal one, which is, and this one was done reverse. And here is the cardinal. So you can see how, you'll notice, I'm going to rotate this so you can see, I mean, it's not perfect. See, this is the nature. Glass has imperfections in it. It's not, this is what to expect. Okay. I still think it looks amazing though. And there are our little cardinals. All right. Awesome. All right, so our next project is, let me check and see what it is. It is our custom picture frame word search. So this is super fun, super easy project. Does not take a lot of extra equipment or anything like that. I think everyone could do this one. So if you would like to go take a peek at the supply list for that one, you'll find it right now over at jennifermaker.com/429 if you'd like to see that. And so let's take a quick break, clear all this off. I apologize in advance if our mic stays hot. We're going to try to be quiet so we don't distract you. And we'll see you at the top of the hour. just setting off all of my buttons. There we go. Sorry, it's getting to be the end of the day, and that means I get more tired. All right, hello everybody. My name is Jennifer Maker. We are going to make custom word search frames. These are so cool. I would love to show you what they look like close up. We got good shot on them. There's a little light on this one. I'll bring this one down here so you can see it. And switch over. Uh-oh. Sorry, hang on a second. I have a frame failure right now. All right. As soon as I took one of the frames off, the other one just like couldn't handle the weight of it. So it's fine. So this is what it looks like. Let me angle it up so you can see there's actually a couple different ways you can do this. This way is with, these are all the names of, these are all like it's like a general family one. You'll see it says memories and together, and it's highlighted, right? It's really cool. You can also do a holiday one, and these ones are pre-designed for you. Instead of having highlighted, it's got circles on it. But what's really cool about this project is that you can make one for your own family. So this one says the makers, and it's got Greg, Alexa, Jennifer, and Chloe. Alexa's my daughter. Greg, you know. Hunter and Chloe are our dogs. We're just missing Butterscotch, our new cat. So we need to get Butterscotch in here. So remember, that's like a really long name, but we could probably do it diagonally, right? Anyways, word searches are one of the most well-known games around, and being able to customize them with special phrases or names makes it even better. This is a super easy project, and it's a fun way to personalize a picture frame, and it makes a perfect addition to your home decor, or it's something that you can give as a thoughtful gift. I have seen others make these picture frame word searches for their homes, and I couldn't wait to have one for myself, because as a family, we love to play games. It is what we do. Well, we do a little less now that Alexa's not a kid anymore, but Greg and I play games every night. You will find the complete supply list for this project at jennifermaker.com/429. There's the link. But let me get out all the supplies from my dream box, and I'm going to show you everything we need to make this, which isn't really all that much. So I'm going to try to put this back up here so that it doesn't, actually let me keep this one down, because that's the one I'm going to want you to see the most, I think. And we'll put this one here. Let's see if how does that look? Almost. I'm seeing the edge of my thing, there we go. Hopefully nothing will fall over again, but it might. One of the joys of live video is that things like that happen. All right, let's get out the tote from the dream box. Word search. So you don't need too much for this, which is nice. I like simple projects. So, in fact, the first thing that you need really is your vinyl, which I have sitting right here. So I'm using permanent vinyl in a variety of different colors. Black, got stone yellow in there, Kelly green, white, mint, all my favorite colors, plus some standard grip transfer tape. You need that too. Not strong grip, but standard grip. You'll also want, and this is a little bit less typical, you'll also want, get it out for you here, not this one, but this one. Some 12 by 24 inch paper. Yes, they make this. This is cool. This is Cricut's brand. I love this. I don't use it too often because it's so big, but to make these nice big frames, you're going to want a nice big piece of paper. And then, of course, you need a picture frame. So you can see I've got brown, nice classy brown. We've got white and yellow too. And you can also go with something like red, right? So lots of options here. And I'm going to put away the number here so that nothing gets covered up. So whatever you want, right? And of course you can make them smaller. You doesn't have to be an 11 by 14 inch frame, which is what I'm using here. But the big size is pretty eye-catching. And then other things that we'll use are a measuring tape, a craft knife, a self-healing mat, like I have this blue one right here, weeding tool, scraper, brayer, scissors, and a ruler and pencil if you're marking your background template by hand. I also recommend a Cricut pen. Let's get some things out. A Cricut pen, right? And this is a lint-free cloth to wipe down our frame. You could also use a coffee filter for those who don't know that. A brayer, a scraper, tweezers, scissors, weeding tool, a lot of the basics of vinyl crafting you would like to have. Now, something else that's important to show. Let me make a little space here. All right, let's switch over here. Take these off to the side. Sorry about all the glare. I know that's kind of a bummer. Let's see if I can angle it up a little bit. Of course, you know that might just result in a failure. Who knows? Okay. Tape measure is really good to have. I also recommend that you print out, there's actually a worksheet in here to help you do, if you're going to find it, there's a planner, okay, so that you can plan out your own word search. So you can just print this out and then you can write it in, and you can use a pencil until you get the names just the way you want. And I recommend it. It's really good. So then of course we're also sharing these are like the ways to do all of the highlighting or the circles, right? And this is our PDF template. Of course, you're likely to want to use our SVG instead, but you know, like I said earlier, we always provide everything as PDFs instead. But if you're using a Cricut, you'll want the SVGs. It's just easier for me to show them to you right now this way. All right, and then if you're going to have the Cricut draw the background template, you'll want to use a fine point pen or whatever you have, really. It's not that big of a deal. All right, let's see, what else might you need? Oh, well, of course, you'll probably want your Cricut. So I am cutting this on the Cricut Maker, but you can do this on any Cricut. The Explorer, the Maker, even a Cricut Joy. Of course, the Cricut Joy will depend upon how big it is. You might simply, though, have to do it in strips, right? I have done so many things in my Cricut Joy that you would never, ever have thought you could have done. You just need to sometimes get a little creative, and you just do your headline, like you would do like this part here, and then like maybe these three, and these three, and then you can put them all together before you actually transfer them. So you can totally do that. Lots of things you can do in the Joy. Okay. And then a printer is optional. So the only reason that you might want to have a printer is if you want to print out the planner, right, that we provided. We actually have different things here, so you can put all the names that you might want to have, and then you can actually all plan it out here. But you could also just write it on a piece of paper too. You don't have to print that out. It's totally optional. All right, so I'm going to show you where to find all of these free designs in the planner, and then I'm going to show you how to actually create it in Cricut Design Space with your family name, your own family names, right? So you can use one of my templates, but really I know what you're really going to want to do is make this for your family. So we're going to show you exactly how to do that, and then we're going to cut out the vinyl and we're going to apply it and put it all together. And then after the assembly, I will answer all your questions. All right, so let's play our video.
Step 1. Get my free picture frame word search designs. Go to jennifermaker.com/429 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. Then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the designs on the page by searching for design number 429 and then click it to download the zip file with SVG files for cutting on a Cricut or another cutting machine, DXF files, and printable PDFs for cutting by hand. There are 3 different designs, one for the holidays, one you can customize, and one for the family. I've also included a printable template to help you plan out the custom version. I'll show you how to customize and assemble the template today. If you want to use the family or holiday designs, follow the same steps other than changing the words. If you want to match the template's font, download and install the Be Honest font before opening Cricut Design Space. The Be Honest font is free for personal use and available at dafont.com/behonest.font. If you plan to sell your project, you'll need to purchase the commercial license from my affiliate link at jennifermaker.com/behonestfont. I'll also use Cream Candy for the family name, which has the same personal or commercial use options. You can purchase it at jennifermaker.com/creamcandyfont. For step-by-step instructions on adding fonts to Design Space, check out my Cricut Fonts cheat sheet at jennifermaker.com/Cricut Fonts list. Upload the SVG cut file with Customizable in the file name to Cricut Design Space. If you're unsure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to and upload files. This is what the search file looks like in Cricut Design Space. You can zoom out to see all of the design by clicking on the minus sign on the lower left. The template has random letters in 10 rows and 10 columns, meaning we have 100 letters to work with. Step 2. Plan your custom word search. I'm going to show you how to edit the puzzle, but first, let's do some planning. Print out the word search planner included in the file on 2 pages and grab something to write with. On the second page of the planner, write out the names or words that you want to feature in your word search. Then, write the number of letter spaces each will require. I recommend up to 6 words with 10 or fewer letters. I'm going to add my family members' names to mine. Next, think about how you want the names to look. Unlike a real puzzle, we want the words to be easy to read. So avoid backward words or making too many overlaps. Diagonal words are a bit harder to highlight nicely in Design Space, so avoid them if you want a very simple project. Starting with the longest name, pick a spot to place it on the template. I'll start with Jennifer. Use a pencil to write its letters right over the light template letters. Continue with the other names. If you run into trouble, move the last name you added to make more space. Or look for a letter to share. This can be a brain teaser, so give yourself time and have fun. Once everything fits, write over your names in marker so they are easier to read. Here's how my planner looks with my family's names added. Next, we need to make sure our design will fit our frame. I'll use one of the 11 by 14 inch styles on the material list. Even if you think you know your frame's measurements, always double check. First, measure the visible area of the frame's glass. My frame is labeled 11 by 14 inches, but the glass measures 10.5 by 13.5 inches. We're going to remove the mat, so I won't factor that in. I recommend leaving at least 1/2 inch border between the frame and your design. So I won't make my decal, including the word search and the family name, larger than 9.5 by 12.5 inches. Next, we'll plan the background for the word search. This way, you don't need to work with the plain white or brown in the frame. Take the backing out of the frame and measure it. Mine is 11 by 14 inches. Write the sizes on your planner so you don't have to remember them. Step 3, customize your word search file. So back in Cricut Design Space, let's make a template for the frame. Placing the decals evenly on the glass or background can be difficult, so you can make a template to help you. This technique requires a 12 by 24 inch machine mat and a Cricut pen if you're using the same size frame as I am. Pick a light colored pen that won't be visible through the cardstock once it's flipped over. If you don't have a large mat, or you're using vinyl that will be applied to the cardstock, you can create the template by hand using a ruler, pencil, craft knife, and a self-healing mat. In Cricut Design Space, click the shape icon and select the free square to add it to your canvas. Change the color to white. Open the lock icon and enter the dimensions of your background piece. I'll enter 11 for the width and 14 for the height. Right-click on the shape and select Duplicate to make another copy. Again, with the lock open, change the dimensions to the size of the word search. For me, that's 9.5 in the width box and 9.72 for the height. Drag the new rectangle to roughly where you want the word search to go on the background. You can use the canvas grid to help. Remember, we want to leave at least a 1/2 inch margin all around the designs. Click Duplicate once more. With the lock open, enter the dimensions for the family name or phrase you're adding. I'll enter 9.5 for the width and 2.25 for the height. Drag this rectangle into position. Hold Shift and click the 2 word boxes. The height of both together should be close to 12.5 but no taller. Adjust the shapes up or down as needed, but try to leave a little space between them to avoid overlapping decals. Then click Operation and change the 2 boxes to Pen. Then hold Shift key on your keyboard and click all 3 shapes and click Align and then Center horizontally. Click Attach, then click Arrange and select Send to Back. If you don't have a long mat, draw your template on a piece of cardstock the same size or larger than the backing. Then cut it out and you are ready to go. Hide the template. Select the design. Click Ungroup above the Layers panel to work with the pieces separately. For now, hide the highlight shape and the thin oval. Find them in the Layers panel on the right and click the eye icon. We'll come back to them later. Then select the word search and make sure the lock icon above size is closed to maintain its proportions. Enter the number you chose for the design in the width field. I'll enter 9.5. That makes the height about 9 3/4 inches. That's a lot shorter than the area we want to fill, but adding the family name will help. Click the text icon and type the family name for the top section. I'll add Makers. Click where it says Cricut Sans at the top to view your font options. I'm going to use Cream Candy for my font, so I'll search for that under the System section. Remember, you can download it for personal use or with a commercial license from jennifermaker.com/creamcandyfont. You can also try different layouts here. Add the in a smaller text or family or whatever you like. In the top menu, make sure the lock icon is closed to resize the text so it's the same width as the word search. I'll enter 9.5 in the width box. Drag the name above the word search. Click Select All at the top and click Align to Center horizontally. If the name and search combined are taller than your working area, make the name smaller until it fits well. Now let's add our names to the word search. I have some tips and tools to make personalizing it easier than you might have expected. First, we need to make space for the letters that we'll add. Select the red letters and click Ungroup to work with each individually. Notice that the red letters don't say text on the Layers panel. The template is an SVG, meaning that Cricut Design Space sees the letters as shapes, not as Using your planner as a reference, check which letters you'll place for each name. Drag a bounding box over the letters you'll replace for each name and delete them. For the diagonal names, delete the letters one by one. If you delete something unintentionally, you can simply click the undo icon at the top to go back. Here's how my template looks now. The horizontal names are the easiest to add, so let's start with these. Click on the text icon on the left side of the canvas. Type the first horizontal name on your list. Mine is Jennifer. Click the font menu and select the System section. Change the font to Be Honest. Then change the font size to 30 to match the template letters. Remember, if you're making a different size design, the letters might need to be bigger or smaller. While it may be tempting to change the text colors to match, wait. You can keep track of your new letters with the contrast. Now, drag the name into place. See how our letters are too close together? We can fix that. Change the letter space to the top menu to 14.5. Adjust the name so it's mostly lined up with the other letters. We'll fine-tune it in a bit. Click Duplicate to make another horizontal name with the adjustments that we've made. Select it and then double-click and type in the next name. I'll add Greg. Drag that one into place. Repeat for any other horizontal names. I'll add Chloe for one of my dogs. Here's how my horizontal names look now. Next, select your horizontal names, click Advanced, and click Ungroup to Letters to put each letter on its own layer. Now each letter can be moved independently. We'll use some of them for the next names. For vertical and diagonal names, we'll add the names one letter at a time. It will go faster than you think. I'm going to add Alexa vertically and Hunter diagonally. If there's a letter that you've already added that you need, just duplicate the original and move it into place. I did that with all of the A's I needed. When you need a new letter, like the X, just duplicate another letter that you added, select the copy, and double-click it to type in the letter. Repeat for the rest of your letters and names. Here's how my canvas looks now. Notice that the letters aren't all perfect. That comes in the next step. We'll go row by row and column by column to fix all of our alignment issues. Starting with the first row, click and drag a bounding box across the top 10 letters. With those selected, click Align at the top of the canvas and select Center vertically. Repeat for all the rows. Next, we'll align the columns. Again, starting with the top left, click and drag your mouse down the first column of letters. Click Align and Center horizontally. Repeat the alignment for each column. When you're done, click and drag your mouse over all of the letters and click Attach. This will keep them together during cutting. If you want to change the color, use the color box in the top menu. Now for the details. Some people circle their letters on a word search, and others use a highlighter to cover them. I've included both options. Remember, if you're using vinyl that is the same color on both sides, you will apply it to the inside of the glass. That way you can use either highlight option. If your vinyl is a different color on the sticky side, I'll show you how to use it later, but it requires using the ovals. Here's an example of how both options look in use. Once you decide which one to use, delete the other one. Then click the eye icon next to the one you plan to use to unhide it. I'll show you how to work with both versions, so I'll unhide both and drag them to the side. With your choice selected, click Duplicate so you have a backup of the original. Click and drag one highlight over the first horizontal name. Open the lock icon at the top to adjust the dimensions independently by clicking and dragging a corner of the bounding box. Make it circle or cover the name. Once you're happy with the layout, duplicate the original highlight layer to work on your next horizontal name. Drag the highlight into place and adjust it as needed. I'll show you the circle on Greg's name. When you get to vertical names, duplicate the original highlight and enter 90 in the rotate field. Then resize as needed with the lock icon opened. Diagonal shapes do not resize proportionally in Design Space. For diagonal names, duplicate and resize the horizontal highlight so it covers one or two more letters than the name you're working on. Then type 45 into the rotate field and drag it into place. If you're having trouble with a new copy of the horizontal highlight, I want my highlights to match, so I'll replace the circles with the shape highlights before cutting. If you have any overlapping highlights, it's better to cut them as one piece. Select the overlapping layers while holding down the Shift key on your keyboard and click Weld at the bottom of the Layers panel. Change your highlights or family name to the colors you want using the color box. Unhide your template. And make sure the correct machine is selected in the upper right corner of your canvas, and then click Make It. Step 4. Cut your word search design. Change the vinyl mats to 12 by 12, but leave the cardstock as 12 by 24 if you're cutting the background template. The next settings depend on whether you're using the vinyl with the same color on both sides. If you are, mirror all of the vinyl mats so you can apply them to the back of the glass. If any of your vinyl only has the color on the non-sticky side, do not mirror any of the mats. We'll apply the decals to the cardstock instead. Click Continue once you're ready. Set the background mat to medium cardstock and change the pressure to more. When you get to the vinyl mats, set your material to premium vinyl, use more pressure, and place your vinyl shiny side up on a green standard grip mat. Use a brayer to get the vinyl as smooth as possible on your machine mat. Follow the prompts to put the correct tools in the clamps for each mat. Load your first mat into the Cricut and press the flashing button. When the Cricut is finished, press Unload and remove your mat from the Cricut. Flip the mat over and carefully pull it away from the material. Repeat for the rest of the mats. Step 5. Assemble your word search design. First, make sure the cardstock background fits into the frame. The frames aren't always perfectly square. Place the cardstock in the frame with the template on the back if you're putting the vinyl on the glass, or facing forward if you're using the other method. If you need to trim any of your cardstock, the True Control knife works great for that. I laid the cardstock on my Cricut self-healing mat and cut along my ruler. Time to weed the word search. First, cut away the excess vinyl. Weeding letters can be tricky. If you're having trouble, lightly run your knife between the columns and don't cut all the way through the backing. And then weed one column at a time with your weeding tool. And weed the family name too. When the weeding is done, cut a piece of standard grip transfer tape slightly larger than your word search. Peel off the backing of the transfer tape, fold it up like a taco, and place the bottom on the center of your decal. Gently smooth down the sides to completely cover the decal. Use your scraper to burnish the transfer tape to the vinyl. There are lots of small parts, so take your time to go over them all from the front and back with your scraper tool. Instead of peeling the decal away from the liner, I found it easier to place the decals face down and peel the liner up. Either way, take your time and reburnish as often as you need to. Repeat for the family name. The next step depends on whether you're applying the decals to the back of the glass or the cardstock. Two-sided vinyl on glass. Remove the glass from the frame, then clean both sides with rubbing alcohol and a lint-free cloth. Place your background with the template facing up on your work surface. Put the glass on top, making sure the edges line up. My favorite tool for lining up large decals is parchment paper. There's just too much sticky transfer tape to keep from adhering to the glass. Let me show you how to make it much easier. Cut a piece of parchment paper that is about the same size as your word search decal. Place the decal transfer tape side down. Leaving the top row uncovered, lay the parchment paper on the sticky side of the decal and transfer paper. Without letting the top row stick, lay the parchment-covered decal on the glass in the template box. When you're happy with your placement, press down on the top row of letters. Now it's held in place. Using the adhered row as an anchor, flip up the rest of the decal. Then slowly peel back the parchment paper and press down on each row of letters until your design is fully attached to the glass. Again, use your scraper tool to burnish the vinyl to the glass. Then peel the transfer tape away. Have your scraper ready in case you need to reburnish any of the letters. Place the family name in the right spot using the smaller template box as a reference. Then apply the highlights or circles using the taco method I showed you earlier. This way the letters are still very legible. Try to keep the circles from overlapping the letters so it looks like they were drawn on top of the names instead of behind. If you can't remember where your words are located, look back to your planner. Flip over the glass and admire your work. Once everything is applied to the glass, then place your glass back in the frame so you can read the names from the front. Wipe the glass to remove any fingerprints from the assembly process. Add the cardstock backing with the clean side facing the glass and the frames back, and you're done. One-sided vinyl on cardstock. Place the cardstock backing on your work surface with a template facing up. Adding light pencil marks at the top and bottom center of the boxes will help with alignment. Lightly crease the top and bottom centers of the word search decal. Use the taco method to line up the creases with the center pencil marks so the decal will be straight. Gently let down the sides and press over the transfer tape. Again, I recommend using your scraper to burnish the vinyl to the cardstock. Press gently and focus on the vinyl areas to avoid damaging the paper. Carefully remove the transfer tape from the vinyl and cardstock. If any of the vinyl begins to come off, use your scraper with a little more pressure to better adhere that area. Repeat the transfer process for the family name. Use the taco method to transfer your circles to the names. Remember, you can look at the planner if you can't find them all. Gently erase any pencil marks still visible on the background. Place your decorated cardstock in your frame and close the back. And you're all done.
Can you hear me? If you can hear me, I am having technical issues. And joy of joys, I need to restart my computer. Restarting my computer will end our stream, but I still have things to talk about. We still have prizes to give away. You can hear me. Awesome. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Technical issues happen. So I can't see any, I don't believe I can resume this stream or anything like that. I can't get my cameras to turn on. So I need to restart my computer because restarting the computer honestly tends to help 95% of problems. So I'm going to restart my computer, and that means I'll come back, and what we'll do to help you find us is once I'm live again, we will change the link at jennifermaker.com/livestream to be the new link. I'm so sorry about this, but we just have to roll with it. These things happen and we just keep going, right? Okay, so I'm going to end the stream and we're going to give me a few minutes to get a new one going. And come back and find me because we have awesome things to give away, and I have some encouragement to share with you, and I want to answer your questions. All right? So I'll see you hopefully all in just a few minutes. Bye.